Everybody, thanks for checking in today. I'm here with my dear friend Lavonne, who is a
Mhm.
wonderful makeup artist and is hilarious and fun. And I love hanging out with her. She's awesome. So, Lavonne, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the David Cruz channel.
Yes, I still don't have a name for this. So, Lavonne, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you got started in the industry.
I've been a makeup artist for 23 years. I got my start on accident. I was in college getting a degree in early childhood education. I had a goal to open a 24-hour childcare center called Around the Clock. I was going to franchise it and make some money and retire. And I had a friend who was going to makeup school, and she got an opportunity from the owner, Donna Me, who's now like my mentor, colleague, and friend, to be talent escorts at the MTV Music Awards. And little did I know that her car was going to break down the day of rehearsal and she was going to need a ride. So I gave her a ride and didn't know what I was going to do all day because it was Universal Studios and we lived down in Huntington Beach, California. And I was like, she's like, I'll see if I can get you a credential. And I was like, okay. So she left me at the gate for an hour. I'd never seen a celebrity in my life. And I was completely starstruck. Like Snoop Dogg pulled up, Madonna pulled up, Marilyn Manson pulled up, and I'm just at the gate, like. And so maybe like an hour later, she came running up the hill with this lanyard and a credential. And she's like, you get to come. And I was like, okay. So I get down there and they assigned her the Beastie Boys. So basically, she got to walk around the Beastie Boys and tell them where they needed to go all day.
That's fun.
I got Busta Rhymes in the Flip Mode Squad.
That's hilarious. Was he cool? He seems like he'd be cool.
Beyond, he was so sweet, so like, hey, Lavonne, what's up? How you doing, girl? Come on, let me show you where we gotta go. He was dope. But the defining moment for me was I was a huge fan of a singer named Tori Amos. I'm totally aging myself now, but I love Tori Amos. And I went to the bathroom and she was standing in line with me at the bathroom. And I totally fangirled on her, like, oh my God, I'm your biggest fan. I love your music. This whole thing. And she was like, I'm playing at the Greek Theater this weekend. Why don't you be my guest? And I was like, okay.
How
He
sweet
took
of
my
her.
number. Her publicist called me the next day, gave me front row tickets, backstage passes, invitation to an after party. And it was that moment that I decided I no longer wanted to teach preschool, but I wanted to work in the entertainment industry.
Like, forget those kids.
Bye,
Our
babies.
kids.
Ain't potty training nobody's kids no more.
I love it. That's hysterical. You know what? They're not the future. Forget them.
Yeah. That Monday, I dropped out of college and enrolled in Donna Me's school. Never looked back.
I love that so much. I love that you had these noble aspirations and you were like, nope. That looks like way more fun.
Exactly. And it totally was. In my career, like from there, just, back then it was like, it was a steady climb.
Yeah.
You had to pay your dues, you
Yeah.
had to test,
Yeah.
you had to get, I don't remember what they were called. You had to get, what were the little sheets called with all the pictures on it? You had to look through it with the loop.
Oh yeah. The
Your
context.
contact sheets. You had
Yeah.
to get your contact sheets, and there was no photo retouching. So I learned very on that skin had to be perfect
Yeah.
because people didn't want to pay for retouching.
Yeah. It's true.
And
It's
so
true. I
from
mean,
there
it's
it
still
just
really
grew.
expensive, but back then it was really hard.
Yeah. And I assisted a lot of makeup artists and learned a lot of humbling lessons in that, just not talking too much, not trying to showboat the lead artist. My personality is a bit strong.
Well, you're a lot of personality, so was that difficult?
Exactly. And I didn't know, nobody pulled you aside and said, hey, you're an assistant, you're invisible, don't talk.
Oh, okay.
Just be there when I need you, give me what I need, and that's it.
I
And
feel
so
like there should be an assistant school somehow.
there should be an assistant score. Anybody who's going through makeup needs to know that when you assist, you need to pay your dues and be invisible.
And be quiet. Yeah,
Be
it's so
quiet.
true. I hate to. Because on the one hand, I feel like I don't want to suppress someone's
No.
natural personality or anything like that. But there have been times where I've been like, stop speaking now, please. Like, like I'm just because sometimes you're figuring something out as you're working, or you without realizing it, the assistant will say anything that'll piss the client off, and then you're like,
Yes.
just
Yes.
don't talk right now.
People just don't know set etiquette, and there needs to be a
Yeah,
class. I think
yeah.
Deshawn, there's a makeup artist. She came out with a book on assisting that kind of told people the do's and the don'ts, which I think
Interesting.
that's the only thing out there. I
I
think
think
it's
there's
Deshawn Hatcher.
who?
Is it Deshawn Hatcher? I think
I don't know.
she came out with a book, and it's really good on how to assist. And
Interesting.
basically spells out like everybody needs to read it before they assist.
If you know how to get it, like if it's on Amazon or something or whatever, or anywhere, yeah, like
We'll throw a link down below.
Yeah, totally.
And if LaCroix or Casamigos wants to sponsor this video.
You want to get sponsorship from Casamigos? I am drinking a mezcal Negroni.
Ooh,
Sure.
I like that. You got the round cubes. I got the big old square cubes. It melts
I like
down.
it. George, call us, George. We're ready.
We're
That's
ready.
George Clooney's vodka, isn't
They
it?
sold it. They sold it.
Don't call
George
me.
Clooney and Randy Gerber sold that. They got coins.
Good for them. That is hysterical. I think we're on the verge of going off the rails here, though. Let's stay with makeup for a second.
Yes.
No, but that's a really good point. I do feel like assistants need to learn how to be that you can. Because I was having this conversation with Desiree Gary, and she was going on about how like we were discussing.
Love Desiree.
I love her. She's so great, right? And we were discussing how abusive some of our assisting situations were. Like I assisted some people who were really passive aggressive, and that can be really difficult psychologically.
Yes.
You're just like, I can't deal with this anymore. But you do have to know your place.
Yes.
And if you get too big for your britches, then you got to go.
Yes.
And so I do feel like there's a happy medium. Like, you can not be abusive to a person, but then that person has to know that when we're in studio, when we're on set, button up.
Yeah.
There, hand me what I need.
You just have to educate them so that they can do better. When you know better, you do better, right?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And that's right. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't bother. They feel like, you should already
know.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
you should already know. Nobody told me.
I know. People don't just wake up knowing stuff. You got to teach them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's such a fantastic story, though. I love that. I hope Busta Rhymes sees this.
I bumped into him like 2 years ago at a Grammy party, and he remembered me.
No way.
Yes. I mean, 20 years later, and he was like, "What's up, girl?" I was like, I have a picture. I took a picture of him. I'll throw it on the throwback post.
I love it. That is hysterical. I want to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's been a super weird year for everybody, obviously. Well, now we're in the new year. We're officially entering 2021, but it has.
What happened last year?
I almost had a breakdown right now. I'm like, well, it was really bad. It's been crazy. It's been terrible. And I just wondered, I've been asking people, how have they maintained, how have they kept their creativity up? How have they kept their interest up?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like kept themselves involved and kept their art up when it's been so hard because you can't really work. I mean, we've been working, but not to the level, like I know you were the same as me. Like we worked every day. It was constant, and all of a sudden when that slowed down, you were like, well, how do I keep myself going and interested? How did you do it? What were you doing?
I went through a wave of different things. In the beginning, it was TikTok.
All this.
Dance routines. I was doing like makeup on myself and like editing it with like crazy music and stuff. And I went a little ham on it and I had fun with it. I probably did like, I don't know, maybe 12 videos. And then I was like, I'm over it.
Yeah, I feel that. And
then I went online. I'm like, I'm going to get as much online education as I can. And I went online and Support Creatives did all these videos of like different makeup artists and stuff. And I paid for all of them and like got all this online education. And I started watching tons of online education. And then it went from that to, you know what, there's something I've always wanted to do. I'm going to try this. And one thing I've always wanted to do is learn fashion illustration,
Mm,
but to do like faces, like, you know, like you see some of these amazing face charts
yeah.
and they look like they've been done with like watercolors and like paintbrush. I wanted to learn how to do that. So I bought this app. I got a Wacom tablet. I got the little pin. Do you know I've never done it?
No way. You bought all the
It's
stuff.
on my list of things to do for 2021. But yeah, I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this, and I'm gonna read more books, and I'm gonna do this and do that. And eventually, I was just like, I need to figure out how I'm gonna make some money.
Yeah.
And so that's when I completely transitioned. I was like, the savings that I have and the money I got from the government, I was like, this SBA loan is going to get put to good use.
Yeah.
And so I made a decision, to move out of California permanently,
Mm,
which is still so hard for me to like comprehend that I don't live in LA anymore and I don't
yeah.
live in New York anymore. And I ended up in Little Rock, Arkansas, which is where
Wow.
I'm at now. And everybody's like, what's his name? I'm like, it's not a man, it was a job. But I was working consistently doing e-com. And when the pandemic hit with this company, it completely shut down.
Mm,
There was nothing. They were like, we're not booking anybody for hair and makeup. The models are like unrecognizable. And now they're having the models do their own hair and makeup. So that was like a big hit to me because I moved here
with a
um,
job in mind, like a job ready.
with a job, like, and it was a job that I only had to work at 2 weeks a month. So the other 2 weeks I was going to LA and I was going to New York. So it
Brilliant.
was super convenient. But then
Yeah.
when the pandemic hit, I was like, well, I need to stay put because I don't know when the next paycheck is coming.
Yeah.
So with that happening and not being booked on that job anymore, I had already established myself here. My subletters in LA couldn't afford the rent anymore because they were like digital nomads and like, you know, they were like, we ain't got no money either. I'm like, it's time to put in the 30 days notice. And
Right.
so I'm here in Arkansas now, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? What do I have time for? And one thing that I've always wanted to do, never had the time, never had the money, was to go to esthetician school.
Oh, amazing.
And so I was like, you know what? Let me look around, see what's available. And then some schools weren't having classes, some were. And I found one and I enrolled. And honey, I'm there to get my hours and my foundation. I got 60 more days to go. I
Okay.
already set up my home spa and I'm going to be a solo esthetician. The bridal business started booming. And I'm like, I guess I'm retiring from fashion and entertainment.
Wow. But it's not that bad though. That stuff will come look at you like drowning your sorrows in your drink. Um,
No,
no,
it's
but that's
different.
just a smart side hustle. And everyone, and I don't care what level you're at,
Mm-hmm.
has some measure of a side hustle now.
Oh no, I'm shocked at how many makeup artists that I know in the industry who are at my level or even higher who went to esthetician school.
Yep.
Like I've seen several people go to laser school or medical esthetician or
Love
like learn to do Botox and fillers. It's like we still love the beauty industry, but nobody's booking for ecom. Nobody's booking for editorial spreads like they used to. Fashion week, they're wearing masks. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do?
It is crazy. It is crazy. It's funny because the jobs that I did do were big advertising jobs that were like massive, but like my day-to-day e-com jobs were gone.
God.
It
Yeah.
was crazy. You were like these huge chunks would come through, and then
Yes.
you'd be there for like 2
I
weeks,
was
nothing.
same. I was gone for 2 weeks. I did an ad campaign for New Balance, and we shot in Malibu. We shot in Miami. I was gone for 2 weeks, and it was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I miss this. It's like I'm like, give
Yeah.
me more, give me more, give me more. And then it was over, and I was like, I'm back in Little Rock.
I mean, I'm not laughing at you, girl. I'm laughing with you because I'm there too. Same thing. As jobs are done. You're like, totally. It's so funny. It's such a funny. I mean, you can only laugh because otherwise you'll just cry because
Yes.
it's so crazy.
Yeah. You're
And
like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be doing campaigns and commercials and big photo shoots. with celebrities, and like it's so like you're like, oh, this is why I love what I do.
Yeah.
And
And when you're
then
in it, you're like, this
yes,
is it.
yes,
This is why I got into this. Yeah.
yes. And then it's the job is gone and you're just praying for the next one and you're like, when's it gonna come? Where's it
It's
at?
so true. And especially when you have that magic mix of like, it's a team that you love, it's people you like
Yes.
working with, and the models are fun, and everybody's, and you're like,
Yes.
this is what I love. And then it's over, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I know. It's so crazy. I do think some things are coming back though, because to what you said, there's another brand that I heard about here in New York that was having models do their own hair and makeup. And the few models that I knew that worked for them were like, oh, like they don't do that.
Yes.
They
Nobody
don't want
wants
to.
to.
They don't
They're
want
like,
to.
this isn't my
And
job.
even hairdressers don't do the back of their own heads. It's crazy. Like nobody. But and it's funny because I knew a couple of brands that were shocked that shockingly decided to have one person to do both,
Uh-huh.
that were brands that were known for the girls looking at a certain level of good, like looking really
Yes.
great. But I've seen that that's shifting back. Like there's one brand that did that all last year, and in December, apparently, it hasn't been going well because in December they called up and they were like, "Hey, can we get dates?" And I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
okay, so we're going back to a proper team."
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
like, "Yeah, it's not, it doesn't look good. It's not,"
And
and I
that's
can
the thing
tell.
that's
I
like,
can see.
we can see it. As artists, we can see it.
You
I
can
don't know
totally
if the
see it.
regular consumer notices it so much, but like the
On a
savvy
low key
consumers
level,
see it.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think they do. I think they do in a way that the way we, when you walk into a room and you just kind of go, something's not right here, and it's uncomfortable, and you leave. Yeah, I think when they're shopping, because I could tell when whoever did it was either really strong at hair or really strong at makeup,
Yes.
but none of them are ever amazing at both. And so you would be like, mm. And so I think it affects the bottom line. People aren't gonna shop at a place that isn't at least somewhat aspirational.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You got to give. We're all laying at home in sweatpants and pajamas and stuff. Like, give me something to reach for. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I was happy actually because I really liked shooting for that brand a lot, and I'm excited to get back in the studio with them. I wasn't available for the dates that they wanted in December, but they or have already put me before
Yeah,
we
I
go for the
think I
holiday.
think it would make a lot of sense if brands were just like, you know what, we're not going to bring in a different person every day. We're going to have one person with this model or talent for however long you're shooting, whether it's like a week long shoot, a 2 day shoot, or
Right.
a 1 day shoot, and just you stay within your bubble. Like there's all kinds of pods that I
Yeah.
heard of were popping up all throughout this pandemic. Give us a makeup, hair, model pod. Like we just
And
work with
same.
this
Yeah.
person. You got your brushes, you got this, you got this is your set. Like
Yeah.
people got so vigilant about sanitation, about
Which is great.
disinfecting, about cleaning. Like my kit was already sanitized, disinfected, and clean before the pandemic. The thing that's changed is I wear a mask and I wear gloves.
Yeah.
Everything else
And
I was already doing, even though
yeah.
I've seen some artists that did not,
Ew.
still aren't.
But I will say the people who were clean before, it's the same thing that you're doing. You used to, the only difference is a mask or a shield.
Yep.
And the only difference is that now they're letting people see. We used to do that on the side so that people
Yes.
weren't, because we were like, that's just what we do. We wash our brushes, we handle our stuff.
Yes.
But they want to see it now. So they
It's
know.
accountability. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'm totally down for that.
And
Totally,
same.
totally down for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, I'm very good about, doing it in front of the customer, in front of the client, whether it's a bride, whether it's a photo shoot. Like, look at me, I'm spraying my stuff down. I'm
Yeah.
leaving it, it's those kinds of things where they can see that you respect them and their health and their safety. All stuff that we were doing ahead of time.
Yeah, and it's good because it shows it makes them feel relaxed. They feel like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool. You are concerned about safety too,
Yeah.
which is awesome. I get that.
Which is why we need to go back to work.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like that brand, as they put dates on me for the next couple months, because I was like, I think everyone, even though this pandemic is still where it is, and at least we have some hope, it looks like, with these vaccines. I think everybody is just like, look, we got to work. We got to figure out, like you saying, figure out pods. They have to figure out a viable way to keep working.
Absolutely.
Because if they can't shoot this stuff, they can't sell it.
Exactly.
You know
And
what I
I
mean?
think from the beginning of when COVID first hit, I I kind of had the mentality like, this is going to get worse and it's not going to be about if I get it, it's going to be about when I get it.
Interesting. Wow.
And I was so vigilant and I got it in,
Did you?
yeah, I got it in the end of October. And I was just like, I backtracked everywhere. Everybody I came into contact with had no symptoms, got tested, was negative. So the only place I went to IKEA in St. Louis, and I swear I walked through somebody's COVID sneeze cloud and touched my face later.
Gross.
Because I have no idea where I got it. And
Yeah.
I was so grateful and so blessed that my symptoms were mild. And
That's
after the 10-day mark, they say you're no longer contagious. I stayed home for a full 2 weeks.
That's good.
And since then, I've had 3 COVID tests and they've all come back negative.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, it's at a point now where people are getting it. Like I've known, like the amount of people I hear of who are getting it now compared to 3 months ago, 6 months ago has like quadrupled. Like I hear every day, like somebody I know has gotten it.
Yes.
And because we have the vaccine now, and because most people have had more of a mild case, I feel like we need to get back to work. It's like you can get the flu, you can get the Rona. There's a chance that you could get sick and get worse and be on a ventilator. I think that was like the biggest fear when I had it. Is this the morning I'm going to wake up where I need to go on a ventilator?
Wow.
That's the scary part. But ultimately, knowing that my symptoms are mild and I took my vitamins and so forth, I was like, okay, let me just get better. Let me get better. And now I'm like, being that I've had it, I'm like, let's get back to work.
Yeah, I think everyone's in that mindset. I do feel like they're just like ready to hit the ground running too. You know what I mean? Like there's a definite feel of like, let's do this, which I like. And I'm into it too, because same. I at first was like, oh yeah, like you, I was like, I'm gonna do these creative things and do all this stuff. And then I was like, I don't want to do any of this.
You watch everything there is to watch on Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, you name it.
Everything.
And then they drop a new show on us and we're like, hey, Baby Yoda. Yes. Did you cry? I cried. Did you cry?
I did cry. I don't want to ruin it for anyone that hasn't seen it, but the ending is incredible.
So good.
Yeah, it was that show is amazing, actually. I have to say, I really do love
so well written.
So good. So where do you see our business heading then? Like, what do you think the future of the industry is?
I think it's tough because like I could hope and pray and wish for things to go back to normal, but they never will.
No.
They never will. So I think it's at a point now where I honestly feel, and this is just my guess, that the vaccine is going to be a prerequisite. I think that if you want to do certain things or be a part of certain things, you have to have a vaccine. Other than that, I think that eventually things are going to go back to how they were as far as the vaccine takes us, depending on how many people get the vaccine, how many people have access to the vaccine, how many people are getting the vaccine. Because there's a group of people like, I don't want the vaccine. You're not putting that in me. I don't want my babies coming out with 3 heads. So-and-so made this and I don't trust him. I don't trust that. And I'm just like, it is what it is. Everybody's entitled to their opinion and their free will. But at the same time, I think it's going to end up being a prerequisite, and that's going to determine where our industry goes and who gets what jobs and what gets booked and what happens next. I think that's definitely where it's going to go.
I see that. I could totally agree with that. Even outside of the industry, talking to friends who are not in it, they were saying the same thing. They were like, I think international travel will open up and stuff like that again once but the vaccine might be a prerequisite for that too.
Yeah. I think it's going to go across the board in all areas of life.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with that. I'm like, you've seen what I eat. The vaccine's not going to kill me. It's fine.
Bacon? Anybody wants a bacon?
Totally, exactly. With what the vaccine isn't going to do anything to my body that I haven't already done. But I do feel like I do see that. I do see it being this thing like people who are not vaccinated won't be able to.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are certain jobs, even now, even in the last few months, that once you got booked, they were like, you had to go take a test.
Yeah, no matter what, you have to
No matter
take a
what.
test. Just for that job I did in LA and Miami, I took 3 tests. I took a test before I got here. I took a test when I got there. I took a
Mm,
test when I got to Miami.
mm,
And it's like, it's a prerequisite. Like
yeah.
when the client we were working with, her father, he was up to his 37th COVID test because they
Wow.
travel all over the world for their daughter, that they have to get a COVID test no matter where they go. And he was up to 37.
37 times of having that thing shoved up your nose. Woo. I've
So
only done it a few, and I'm like, that was
I was dreading it. Like even me, like before I got when I got booked for the job, they're like, "Hey, you got to get a COVID test." And I was like, "But I already had the COVID." And they're like, "Well, you got to get a test." And like they're telling me, "Well, don't get tested because if you get tested, it could still be in your system. It could come back positive." Dude, when I got that negative test result,
I love it. Like a little praise moment.
yes, I was so happy. But it is, it's a prerequisite for jobs now. And I mean, that's also in the case of just, respecting human life and loving your neighbor as yourself and making
Yeah.
sure that you're not spreading it to other people. But I know people who don't even want to get the test. They're like, I don't
Wow.
want it. I don't believe in it. And I'm just like,
That's incredible to me.
yes,
That is incredible to me. But you know what's funny is that I understand to a degree. I don't get it, but I understand that there's so much misinformation being spread
yes,
around that a lot of people have chosen just to dig into their heels with whatever reality, whatever perception of reality makes them comfortable.
yep,
It doesn't matter whether or
absolutely.
not it's real. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And I know that it's a bit mean to say like, "Oh my God, you're like a flat earther," because but it's akin to that mentality of like,
Yes.
how in the world do you think the way you think? That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. You know what I mean? And you realize it's just because they want to think that way. They want to feel
Yes.
that way about it.
Nothing you can do is going to change
No
it.
amount of facts is going to change their perspective. They're just going to feel like you're lying to me.
Yep.
Where did you get your facts? Where's this information from? Like fake news, that phrase, that term, that whole thing, that has entered the American lexicon and won't be leaving.
Yep. It'll be in the dictionary.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because it's made having reasonable conversations sometimes very difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because if you can't reason with somebody, if you can't agree on basic facts,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like if you're
Yep.
like, hey, the scientific community has a consensus and they feel this, and if the person's like,
Nope, I don't
"Nope,
believe it. I don't think it's
totally,"
true.
then you're like, I don't. Where does the conversation go? It can't go
Like
anywhere.
I do not think this is factual information. I'm going to do what I want to do. I could use every accent in the world because everybody from somewhere has an opinion on it. So
True.
it's going to be hard for us, I think, to get back to work if you have that mentality. But if you don't have that mentality, you're like, yo, shoot me up. Vaccine 1, vaccine 2,
Are
let's do
you kidding
this.
me? You could do it in my face. I don't care. Just let me go work.
Do it right here on my lips.
Uh-huh. That's it, like Botox. Is it like Restylane? Right here.
Yes,
There
yes.
we go.
Thank you. Right here, a little eye.
So funny. Oh my word. I think you're right though. That is interesting. It'll be interesting to see where this goes, how this
Yeah,
unfolds. Yeah,
for sure.
awesome. Oh my word. Well, thanks for doing this for me.
That's it. I still want to talk to you, nothing yet.
Do you have any juicy stories?
I love talking to you, Chris.
I know, me too. I miss
We
hanging
have
out.
the best conversation. I live off of your memes and I send you memes.
You
It's
do. Honestly, it's so
amazing.
good.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
memes, your memes have gotten me through some of the rough times and the low times and the
Thank you,
sad
baby girl.
times. I'm like, I don't feel good right now. But let me see what Dave posted on it.
Dave probably says something stupid that's gonna make me laugh. Let me look. I'm glad. I love that.
So
Honestly,
true.
you help me too. I love anything that makes me laugh out loud. That's
Yes,
what I put up.
yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean? Like if I laugh
absolutely.
out loud, then I'm like, oh, there it is. That's what I needed. But
Fact.
I know I miss you when you lived up here. It was so much fun. We used to hang out all
I
the
know. I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, can I live back in New York again? And I was like, only in the spring and the fall.
I feel you. I
I
feel
can't do summer and winter in New York.
yeah. It's intense here. I mean, I love it. I will always be a New Yorker.
The first month is summer and the last week of summer. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. The middle of summer is that is horrible.
Yes.
And actually, this winter is really lovely. Actually, it's not bad right now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like a little coat, nothing.
I miss New York. I miss the energy of the city, the food. Oh, the food.
Oh,
Like
I
how many
bet.
times do we go to Mercer Kitchen?
I live in that place. Their outdoor situation was real cute too, by the way.
Oh, really? You can
They did
still go? Oh,
they did a
amazing.
really good
Yeah.
outdoor. They did a pretty job. Of course they would, but yeah.
Yeah. And our Joe Shanghai.
Oh,
God,
I
I miss
love
me some dumplings. Mm.
dumplings for days. That place is awesome. I still love that spot.
It is. It's the best spot. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've taken
as
other
soon as I
people.
can, I will be back again.
Yeah, when the moment you can come up, you should do.
Yes,
We'll
I
hang out.
will. I got I have 2 plane tickets that I need to use before the end of next year. So I will definitely be
I love
flying
that.
somewhere.
Save one for New York, and if you can do international, definitely hit Europe. And
I want to go to London. I'm dying to go to London.
there you go. There you go. I know British boys love you.
And she loves them too.
I know she does. I've seen it myself. Oh my God, that is awesome. Lavonne, I love you. Thank you so much for doing this. You are
I appreciate you.
awesome.
Thanks for having me. Mwah. Oh,